Disclaimer. Please do not target, bully, threaten, or harass anyone portrayed or mentioned in this video. This is merely a commentary from the author of this channel and should be taken with reasonable doubt. Guys, I am literally shaking right now. I just got a letter in the mail. They stopped serving breakfast at McDonald's. Do you know what this means? I'm not going to be able to get that hot, sugary goodness into my body. Oh, man. They stopped serving breakfast because of problematic opinions I was expressing online? Are you fucking kidding me? What the hell is wrong with these people? Do you have any idea what this means? I'm not going to be able to get breakfast at McDonald's. Whoa. I'm not going to be able to inflate myself big and round. Dear Diezel Raccoon, Creature Arts in our events Texas Furry Fiesta and Texas Furry Siesta endeavor to deliver quality events to our attendees and to keep the environment in our events safe, friendly, and fun. We hold ourselves to high standards of ethical conduct to ensure our visiting attendees feel welcome. Your statements online and social media are inconsistent with these efforts and are inconsistent with our stated anti-harassment and anti-discrimination policies. As such, we have determined that you will not be permitted to attend Creature Arts events. Effective this date, you are prohibited from entering the premises of or attending Texas Furry Fiesta at the Sheraton Dallas Hotel at 400 North Olive Street, Dallas, Texas 75201, and Texas Furry Siesta at Hyatt Regency Dallas at 300 Reunion Boulevard, Dallas, Texas 75207. This prohibition remains in force indefinitely. Should you attempt to enter either event venue, we will contact law enforcement personnel to secure your expulsion. This decision is final. You may appeal in writing in 2026. Pestilence, TFF Head of Security, TFS Chair. A coup was attempted to overthrow the government and install a dictator as the leader of this country. I like you deeply as a friend, so I'm going to choose not to even respond to that comment. Inflates you big and round. Blech. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Tissue Panda back in action to talk about something else today, and by something else, it's going to be drama-related. Ah, yes, drama. Not a day goes by that drama doesn't seem to circulate throughout the furry fandom, enrapturing furries in this decrepit pit of despair. Although that pit of despair seems to be more about people breaking out the popcorn and laughing and jeering at whoever happens to be the topic of interest of the day. But hey, I digress. It just happens to be the case. A lot of people like to cancel people these days. They like to make call-out posts, they like to bring up and air their dirty laundry, they like to do all sorts of things. And I just happen to be here as a spectator and a reporter on what happens to be the daily event. Also, a lot's been going on recently. I have not had the chance to play Resident Evil 8, although I'm very tempted to purchase it. But $70 on a game seems to be a little bit much at this point in time. Granted, I guess $70 for a game that I can't play back-to-back, like for hours on end, is a bit much. But hey, you know, it was making waves with that 8-foot-tall, like, vampire lady that was just adopted as the mother of the furry fandom for a little while there, and a lot of people seem to like her. So yeah, if you want Resident Evil 8, The Village, you can pick that up sometime, play it, have fun as Ethan, and yeah, meet the fucking vampire lady and have her dominate you as the mother of the Phantom. Nah, I kid. But yeah, that's not what we're talking about here today. We are talking about something else. We are talking about an individual out there that happened to, catch my notice. It wasn't more recently that I noticed him. I've actually known about him for a couple months now. However, it was kind of more recent events that have sort of brought him to the forefront of a lot of people's minds, and he caught notice, and the furries kind of went after him. But, I digress. Have you ever heard of a wonderful young man by the name of Diezel Raccoon? Actually, I don't think he's young. I think he's what you call a gray muzzle. But, yeah, have you ever heard of a wonderful individual by the name of Diezel Raccoon? He's a great fella, I tell you. He's a firm supporter of the Second Amendment, he's a conservative furry, and he is going to tell you everything that you never wanted to hear about politics. The chief of which happens to be, controversial ideas and controversial political opinions. Everything that people need to hear every day of their lives. Yeah, not really. You get that for free if you look at Twitter for any decent length of time. And I've seen controversial opinions from a lot of different people, be they right, left, or center. That's not really unique to Diezel Raccoon. What is unique to Diezel Raccoon is, I guess, the timing that he chose to make these statements. The fact that he seems to make a lot of controversial opinions, back to back, and has a complete fundamental lack of self-awareness as far as why he's getting pushback for espousing these opinions, and, the treatment that he's gotten from the furry fandom. And while I can't really support the furry fandom, ostracizing people for a difference of opinion, some opinions are definitely something that you would kind of, look the other way at. You kind of do a double take and be like, huh? You'd really say that? Well, what the hell, man? What's weird about Diezel Raccoon is that, as far as I know, like looking at his history, his social media, and all through his tweets, he doesn't appear to have been a furry that got popular by doing, a certain, trait, or like a certain activity, like drawing, or being an artist, or a content creator, or even for his magnanimous personality, which he doesn't seem to have. He seems to have become infamous because of his political opinions and opinions in general, and it just sort of boggles the mind that, like, he of all people would become the epitome of, shame and being the laughingstock of the furry fandom. But, I guess it's really come down to timing. It's strange, Obviously, when compared to people like Kira the Wolf and Lucky Coyote, as two more recent names that I've covered, you would expect him to have been, I don't know, a fursuit maker, an artist, maybe a content creator. He does have a YouTube channel, and he does make content, but it seems to be that, like, he's smaller than I am. Granted, he's only made 15 videos, so I guess hats off to him. He's growing fairly quickly, but I don't think he's growing for the right reasons. In fact, I think people are watching him because he's an infinite source of hilarity, at least for them. Granted, Diezel Raccoon, how did he get noticed? Well, he's said some very problematic, things up to this date, and if you want an example, well, it wasn't too long ago that he basically stated that he didn't feel comfortable being in a Walmart at night, and that he had his gun on him because he felt like African Americans were watching him at all times, and, that they were hostile. That was the implication of his tweet. If you don't believe me, I'll put a screen cap right here, but need I mention the obvious that this has very racist connotations here? I mean, that's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to get away from racism. We're trying to solve racism. We're trying to all live in harmony, peace, and prosperity for all. But yeah, he is an ardent Second Amendment rights supporter. I can agree with him on that insofar as the Second Amendment should be preserved as it is. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to actively support people that carry their guns to places that they don't necessarily belong, like, stores, supermarkets, furry conventions, heaven forbid. We don't need accidental discharges in public places where people can get hurt, is what I'm saying. But, some people, they feel like concealed carry or open carry or whatever should be absolute for all places, across the United States. Thankfully, that is a state issue, so it really depends on your locale as to whether they'll allow that. But yeah, getting back to Diezel Raccoon. There was a particular like meme that had been going on through the furry fandom, like, months ago, and it was like I was straining my mind just to figure out where did this meme come from. It was like the whole inflates you big and round meme. Apparently, where that comes from is that a friend of Diezel Raccoon's had like reached out to him and wanted to talk about the whole January 6th drunken frat party that was like labeled as an insurrection down at the Capitol, Washington D.C. Bunch of people stormed the Capitol building. They stole a bunch of stuff. They, I guess it could be considered vandalizing, like, the property, because like a guy walked out with a fucking podium, like, the same House Speaker podium that you'd use in like in House of Representatives, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, but where are you going to like sell that? Or if I was that guy, I'd put it in my basement or something like that. I'd set up a bunch of chairs and act like, it was a meeting space for me and my, like, group of friends or something like that. That's what I would do, but that's just me. I don't think the FBI would be very interested in buying government property back. I think they would be more interested in arresting the individual and putting him in the slammer for, like, 40 years. But, hey, people had a day of fun, I guess, at the Washington, D.C. buildings. And I don't know, like, which buildings were affected besides the Capitol, but, it happened, and now the Capitol is basically guarded like Fort Knox now with National Guardsmen. So, yeah, there's definitely a action-reaction sort of thing going on here. Anyway, Diezel Raccoon at the time did not feel like talking about it, and instead wanted to inflate his friend big and round because he's into inflation. And I think he's a diaper furry. And he's obviously a gay furry. He's into a lot of different things that are weird, like piss and I guess scat. Maybe I hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. Sort of like the nasty stuff, anything relating to this infantile nature, which is weird. I think he's definitely got to be in his 30s, maybe even his 40s. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and tentatively say that he's probably 35. Not that that's really important, but you'd expect this sort of behavior from somebody that's like 18 or something. Like somebody that's just getting in the furry fandom and it's like, hey, I'm loud, I'm proud, I'm just going to say whatever the fuck I want. Consequences be damned. And they aren't quite mature enough to sort of articulate or convey themselves in a way that would be, respected by others. But I guess that goes without saying because, a lot of furries like to espouse their opinions. The difference between that and Diezel Raccoon is the fact that, like, it got so much attention so quickly, and I guess nothing was really going on because this seems to be like the sort of situation where somebody rose from the bottom as opposed to falling from the top. Yeah, he's certainly done a lot more recently. Conventions are starting to notice the problematic behavior on social media of various individuals throughout the furry fandom, such as was the case with that one furry that had basically endorsed or advocated for printing out your own COVID-19 report card to get into furry conventions when you didn't want to get a vaccine, you did not have proof of vaccine, and you wanted to go attend a furry convention anyway. Well, that person got banned for life, pretty much. In fact, their personal information was freely available to whatever other conventions might have been interested in that sort of information. So, yeah, probably not a good outcome for them. In Diezel Raccoon's case, I have it on good authority that, there were contributing factors to his banning. Things I saw on social media was that he had, seemed to endorse printing out COVID-19 report cards. I'm going to assume that he didn't get himself vaccinated. Because, if he's going to advocate for that, what would be the purpose if he did get vaccinated? He'd have proof of vaccination. But, yeah, he seemed to do that. He also, some of the tweets that I have been able to, screen cap, I'll make freely available here. Either I've already done that in the beginning of this video, or I'll do that towards the end, or I'll just show them in front of your faces as I speak. But it's just surprising to me that he would openly do that, and I guess I can't really fault people for wanting to punish those people about endangering the public with their negligence, but certainly ignorant and irresponsible on his part. And yeah, so Texas Furry Fiesta not too long ago sent out a letter addressed to Diezel Raccoon personally, and basically told him, they explained, hey, we try to create a very friendly atmosphere that's conducive to, good relations between people. We take great pride in that sort of thing. And we couldn't help but notice that your activities and behavior online kind of flies in the face of that, so we're going to be banning you for now, and you can appeal this decision in about 6 years. Well, actually, no, it's not going to be 6 years. It's 5 years. 5 years. I think they said 2026 is when he could, right to appeal the ban. But, yeah, every time that Diezel Raccoon makes something that's particularly meme-worthy, furries will generally, poke fun at him by, quoting it and using it in, a different context. They will use the same premise. It's he started his tweet by saying, I'm literally shaking right now. And a lot of furries that day would add little disclaimers. It's this is not a reference to Diezel Raccoon. However, I am literally shaking right now. And they would go on to say some sort of arbitrary bullshit that was, quote unquote, causing them to shake, even though, they were just shitting on Diezel Raccoon. The whole inflates you big and round thing, somebody actually told me last night, I was just talking about it with somebody, but they try to say that he actually tried to copyright that phrase, inflates you big and round. He wants to hold the copyright for that. And it's bitch, you ain't no fucking company. You can't, brand that as your slogan for your company. You ain't no company. It's kind of it reminded me of, Burger King, how they have, have it your way, or, McDonald's, I'm loving it. That makes sense for a company, just to have a slogan or, some sort of statement that's attributable to the company. But, in Diezel Raccoon's case, even if he was somehow, in Bizarro World, get the patent, copyright for a phrase or statement, plenty of people have already quoted him as saying that before he would have been able to get the copyright. So it's that's a pre-existing use. So what I'm saying about the pre-existing use is the fact that, people are still going to know and find out about it and be able to quote that over what you're trying to copyright. It's you ain't no fucking Fine Brothers. You can't, copyright a word. What the fuck, man? I don't know. I will say this. Diezel Raccoon's behavior, he did try to release an apology video. He released a couple. He basically tried to release a heartfelt apology while he was in fursuit and stated that, hey, I'm sorry if I made anybody feel bad or uncomfortable. This is not my intention. But it seems kind of hollow. It seems like he's only apologizing because he got so much pushback from the furry fandom. As far as, the rest of the furry fandom seems to be concerned, he's the laughingstock of the furry fandom right now. And it sort of came out as I was looking into his background. He associated with the Furry Raiders, and if you don't know who the Furry Raiders are, I'm not going to fault you. They are a denomination of conservative furries that are... I don't really consider them Nazis, to be honest with you. I consider them more like 4chan memesters and edgelords that try to say very egregious statements to get, take the piss or get somebody's goat online. Whether or not that's really the case, I am sure that there are some really bad apples among them, but for the most part, I don't really take them seriously because it doesn't seem like they're really that malicious, except for the fact that at Rocky Mountain FurCon, they had booked two entire wings of rooms, and they were trying to... I've heard conflicting stories. One story is that they were trying to resell them at an inflated rate to other people. And when the hotel found about it, they obviously aggroed and they basically revoked any reservation that they had on those rooms. Other people tried to claim that they were just holding them for friends, which would be a lot more acceptable, if not for the fact that you're depriving other furries the right and chance to get a hotel room for that convention for the sake of your friends. But, where the truth lies, we will never know. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, the Furry Raiders are, have not been a very popular group. They are a random band of misfits that seem to band together out of a feeling of opposition towards, I guess, the status quo. Furry fandom, I don't need to tell you, is predominantly left-leaning. Anywhere from neoliberals, classical liberals, socialists, communists, anarchists, whatever political ideology happens to fit the individual. There is a loose, I guess, blanket of left-leaning politics. And that makes it so that a lot of conservative furries have a hard time making friends and being accepted in the furry fandom. Although it's not impossible, it really comes down to who you are as an individual. If you're a decent individual that can convey your thoughts in a well-meaning and respectful manner, and you can remain respectful, to other people, people are going to recognize that, and they're probably going to accept you regardless of your political ideologies. However, if you are antagonistic and just kind of a dickhead in your presentation of what you believe, well, people aren't going to take too kindly to that, and they're probably going to either make fun of you or cut contact with you entirely. Also, if you happen to be curious about my political leanings, I took a political test not so long ago. I was just kind of curious, I got classical liberal. Same as Hillary Clinton, from what I've been told. But thankfully, I am a lot more trustworthy than Hillary Clinton ever could hope to be. So, there's that. But yeah, I might have the results somewhere around here. I don't know, if I find them before I finish this video, I'll definitely post somewhere, but me personally, I kind of lost interest in politics. I'm not saying that, politics is something that you should just ignore or accept, carte blanche, but at the same time, a lot of what I see as far as, debates and arguments go, they're arguing about things that we basically have marginal control, if any, power to really solve or unilaterally, change, on our own. Even if you start a political movement that was intended to sway the entire furry fandom, the furry fandom ain't that big. It's not like you're going to cause a massive disruption to whatever political force happens to be out there. But, I can certainly respect your efforts nonetheless. But yeah, in Diezel Raccoon's case, it seems like he's got a megaphone up to his mouth and he's just saying controversial things. And I'm not sure if he actually believes them or if he's just shitposting. Because, political shitposting is a thing. People just kind of say stupid shit all the time. Whether or not people actually believe them or take them seriously is another matter. But in Diezel Raccoon's case, some of the things that he said have definitely, admittedly, been kind of suspect, And I really hope that he's not, a seriously deranged individual. He seems to articulate himself fairly well if you watch his video, but at the same time, his actual texted tweets and social media posts have been a little weird, alright? So, yeah. Diezel Raccoon. Here's his profile, if you're interested in looking at that, but as always, I put a little disclaimer at the beginning of this video. I would just like to remind each and every one of you, please do not harass or ostracize or target or bully this individual. He probably just wants to be left alone now, but at the same time, you can take solace in the fact that the rest of the furry fandom have probably done anything that you would want to do for you. I'm wondering how he has 2,000, 3,000, subscribers on Twitter, followers. I'm wondering if a good proportion of those people are just following him to see lolsy material occur in real time. That's what I'm starting to suspect, because some of the things he's been saying have not exactly endeared me to him. He seems like a malcontent that, while in the furry fandom, I don't know, seems kind of sketchy. Let's hope he doesn't do anything with that rifle of his, or his guns in general. I just, that's been making the waves this past week. I know it's been a whole week since I've been able to cover it, but I've been busy with my own projects and various other pursuits up to this point. But yeah, I noticed him sort of as a blip on the radar, and then it got more and more consistent as more and more people were sort of just poking fun at him, and I'm like, who is this man and why should I care? Well, that answer has been that answer to that question has been answered today. And if you happen to have that question for me, hopefully this entire video has been able to answer that for you. I don't personally think that he should be ostracized or targeted or bullied or anything like that, but certainly an individual with very questionable, social media posts, to say the least. Certainly not things that I would feel confident in saying publicly if I shared those views. That's that should be a no-brainer for some people. I mean, like, this is the era of cancel culture. People have been canceled for, less reasons than that. And to be brazenly just going out there and then, like, backpedaling as soon as you get a little pushback, if he believes in the things that he's been saying, then he's got to be, like, sort of a milquetoast type of guy, because, you either go big or you go home. He went home. So I don't think I think he's recognized the fact that after receiving consequences, like being sort of banned from Texas Furry Fiesta, I guess he's sort of like realizing that his words have, consequences that are attributable to that. I'm not saying that people should be muzzled or should, like, be forced into silence or censored or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, there are certain thresholds of what's acceptable to say in public and what's not. And if you want to be one of those types that are like, I should say this in public because it's going to make waves and get me noticed, and, it needs to be said, I'm not saying anything that anyone else hasn't been already, like, feeling, then, all you need to do is watch public reaction and see what happens. Because some people out there, especially now in this polarized political climate of the furry fandom, a lot of furries hold their beliefs near and dear to their heart. I'm not saying that the methodologies that they, like, enact in going after people that they disagree with are right. I am definitely not saying that the hateocracy, the negativity, and, basically the sea of ignorance that some people have created for themselves is a good thing to do. But, it happens. And I'm of the belief that you're not necessarily going to change people's minds with, a show of quote-unquote force. And I only say force in quotes because, you're not going to do anything online. There is the threat of force that plenty of people try to enact, but there's also the force of, like, just being a mean and bitter person. That's not going to move people, You kind of have to show them something that's going to make them empathize with you, or explain your point of view more thoroughly than just, half-rate, bullshit arguments or strawman arguments. But anyway, whatever. It's just another piece of drama in this long and dirty road that's been following the furry fandom ever since the beginning of Twitter. So, I guess I really don't have anything else to say about the matter. Diezel Raccoon is banned from Texas Furry Fiesta, and whether or not he's going to be banned from other conventions really remains to be seen. However, as we've seen with that one individual that was sort of endorsing for people to, like, basically fabricate their own COVID-19 report cards, Diezel Raccoon appears to have, like, supported the same sort of behavior with other people. And with that being stated, it goes without saying that conventions seem to communicate with one another. I think that should go without saying. It would make sense that they would communicate with one another, being the furry fandom and all, and that if you're an event organizer, maybe you want tips and tricks from a more successful convention. And if you have enough of a pull or a good relationship with them, maybe they'll share with you their insight. So, but yeah, the furry fandom is definitely interconnected now, a lot more than it used to be, partially because of the whole social media phenomena, and that, if you have a big name, people are going to recognize you. And it would stand to reason that people that happen to sit on the board of these big conventions, they'll probably talk. And if word of a problematic individual happens to circulate far and wide, then they're going to happen to, sort of keep tabs on the movements of a particular individual and be like, ugh, I don't want this person at my convention. No, thank you. So yeah, just if you're one of those individuals out there that maybe has some controversial opinions or things like that, maybe you should just, think long and hard before you say certain things, because there are plenty of people out there that will not appreciate what you have to say and what you're trying to do. And it really depends. Like, some things are fairly innocuous, but maybe they can be misinterpreted. But yeah, in Diezel Raccoon's case, I just feel like he's been kind of an idiot, like, saying this and that and the other, and just broadcasting that on social media of all places. But hey, so it goes. People can have problematic opinions. There's there's the First Amendment. You can express those opinions willingly, but, obviously don't be surprised if you get pushback for it. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about that particular subject matter. If there's anything else that happens, as with everything else, I will certainly go into it in greater detail. But for right now, I think that's quite a bit enough of Diezel Raccoon. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, take care and peace. I hope you all have a better one.